to grace me with his presence. He is one of his favorite places to sort of snuggle is behind me in my chair. So he kind of jumps up on my lap, and he has this little ritual room, and then he crawls behind me, and then he plops. There he is. I promise you, there's a dog right there. He's giving me the side eye. I'll leave him be. Missy, what's up? How you doing? Wow. Anyone been through hell before? Oh no. Couple times. I'm sorry. What's going on? Hope it's nothing too bad. That's awful. Yeah, there's been a lot of that going on, it seems. Let me tell you this, Missy. First of all, the third song is like everything, and is the tone. That's what you got it, right? And so we should talk. Some strings, it's similar to what you're hearing now with like a slow beat. You know what I did? I slowed it down like 70%. It's quite an effect. I don't know if you guys are ready for this. Just mess with your brains. Let's take the soundtrack and let's slow it down. Let's see what that sounds like. See if it gives us any kind of calming effect. Let's go 80%. Let's start at 80. Yeah, your music, yeah. Whatever software or whatever you're using, there's a couple of sounds in there that I totally gelled with, and I want to kind of go over a few things with you because you clearly are onto something there, and it would be really neat. That would be really cool. Yeah. Realize it's too loud. Is that better? Make sure, first of all, I'm on the right setting on the mic. It seems like my microphone lately has been sort of resetting itself as far as volume stuff, and it's very frustrating because I'm not sure when it happens until someone says something to me. Then I go look, and it's like at 40%, and there's no reason for it to be there. So let's take a look. I'm sorry that we have to deal with this now, but let's take that. Yep, I'm set to 33%. That's strange. Okay, now let's see. That one. The volume is set to 47%. I don't know. That should be a little better. Let me know if that fixed it. Really sorry about that. I have it set to 80 now. And so let me know if that fixed the audio problem. So strange, right? I don't know who. Mercury. I'm blaming it on Mercury. And actually, you know what? You can talk directly to him because he's right here. He's in this bag. All right, so if anyone has any troubles with Mercury retrograde, you let me know because we can have a chat. That's the beauty of this oracle. You know what? It's one thing to pull out a card that references Mercury, like for instance the Magus, the magician, right? But it's another thing to grab it and like, like, listen, enough with the retrograde, dude. We got stuff to do. And then when we're done with stuff, then we have things. And I'm not sure what's more important, the stuff or the things, but either way, you're getting in the way, man. So. Oh, I know. The typewriter was so cool. I can hear it. I can imagine the stuff that was typed on that thing. GarageBand on your MacBook. That's so great. Good stuff. Okay, great. Thank you. I'm glad. Okay. So, have a few things that I had popped up that I'm going to talk about tonight. And something very interesting came into my presence right before I started the stream. I mean, literally moments before. I was just walking by a big box of beads and stuff I have in the next room on a table that I've been digging through, going through this process. And I came across this. Let me see if I can use my... There we go. Sorry about that. It's a bracelet. It's a leather bracelet. It's something that was, really intended to be part of something else, or like to pull pieces off of, or whatever the case. But look, I mean, look at that. And why that's significant is because, just recently we were talking about the other, and I had brought out the mask, which is now permanently part of my other mask, right? It's my normal white one right there. See if I can put some light on that so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so she's now permanently part of that setup there, right? The other, right? And that just happened a couple days ago. You can go back in my streams and see that, which is really nifty. Because that only occurred because of the holiday that I found this mask to begin with, right? I found her. And then I just bump into this today. How great is that? I mean, that's just awesome. And then it has the wings. I mean, look at this. Right? Just great. Love that. Yeah, you see the effect of the music being slowed down? Is it doing anything to you? God, that's a weird effect. You know what's a really good song to do that with? Proud Mary. Jimi Hendrix, Proud Mary, slowed down to 50% will literally launch you into another dimension. It is. Give it a shot. It's really fun. But yeah, it's something. It's something. I'm going to make this a bit louder. How long should I leave it this way before... should I just wait for somebody to say something? That'd be fine. So, yeah, I don't know. Do I have room on my wrist to put this thing on? I don't know. I don't even... It's pretty, like, brand new feeling. Like, it's been sitting for years and years and years, but it's never been worn, so it's still kind of stiff. Let me see. Oh, okay, it's a lobster. All right. That sounded funny. It sounds weird in slow motion. Okay, now here's the question. Do I want her looking up at me or looking out at everyone else? Because this is one way. But then the other way would be that. That's an interesting effect too. Wow, wait, look at that. It almost looks like a totally different tone in the eyes. You know what I just realized? I have some beads over here that are apple seeds that have been painted and dyed, and if you tilt them so that the wide side is looking up, it looks exactly like a blue eye staring at you. And they're pretty small. They're the size of apple seeds, so just imagine. Like a third eye thing with a... the reason I went looking is because I had a very interesting idea. An owl. Yep. Totally see that. I'm never going to unsee that. Sure. Wow. Yeah. It does have that vibe. Absolutely. I had a really great idea, and I wonder what you guys think. So let's say somebody decides that they're going to go ahead and build their own oracle, and they work with me to pick the beads and to go through the different stages of the story, the female story, the male story, the two of them getting together and the baby and all this, the universe, the planets, all that. Wouldn't it be nice if you had a piece of jewelry that had the same beads as your oracle? Right? And so essentially you could have a couple of pieces of jewelry, one that is your divine feminine, one that's your divine masculine, and one that is the union of the two. And you could either wear one, the other, all three, and kind of interchange them to have an effect. Since they're using the same beads as your oracle, the jewelry will kind of gel with your divine feminine, especially if you've used it for magical purposes, because then you can take that energy and just carry it through the day, right? And so I just thought that was an interesting idea. I wanted to kind of bounce it off of you guys. Because, as we're going through the process of picking beads, at least this is for people who are using me to build the oracle for you, not for those who are doing it themselves. But if you are doing it yourself and you're going through the process of picking beads, why don't you pick a couple of extra, right? Enough to maybe make a bracelet, or perhaps a pair of earrings, or maybe a little pendant that you can put on. So if you're a necklace person, right, you can have a little pendant that contains one of each of the suits, right? Like, for instance, in her case, I think it would be quite a lovely bracelet to have these beads separated by some type of quaternary of the 4 suit, right? With the metal bead separating the blue and red, or, the blue and green separated by the red and the silver. There's multiple ways that you can go about that, right? And so there's really something there, I think. And really the possibilities are endless, especially with when you get into the kid stuff, right? When you start getting into the tools for children, now you're getting into all kinds of possibility with the jewelry and with the accessories, that it just tells the story. It just continues to kind of drive that message home throughout our daily lives. Because the whole point of this system is to teach you your own language, so that when you go out in the world and see it, it's obvious to you. You don't have to look for it any longer. You don't read anymore. You just listen, because it's talking. It's great. So, yeah, that said, I kind of put together a little spread here because I've been kicking around the layout and how we could visually have it up on the screen in a way that's conducive to doing a reading here live using the beads. And I had a test case today. I had a meeting with somebody, and they were open to me using the beads for their reading, and so it was the first time I'd done that with anybody. It was really cool. I've done some things here live, but this was different. It was a one-on-one. It was private. It was very cool. Went through the whole story. We did the female. We did the male. We did the baby. And then this was the thing that was important. Keeping these up to compare them during the reading. It's really quite something. And again, not really something you get with the tarot. And I want to be clear. I love my tarot. I will never not love my tarot. It's going to be the book that I go to. It's the book that I'm going to grab when my house is on fire, and I can only grab one book. If I were going to be lost on a desert island, I would grab the tarot. However, I can't stop using it. I can't stop. It's so accurate because it's so natural. It's just the language that we already know. We understand the idea of sympathetic magic. It's the basis for most low magic. It's the basis for all high magic. It's the idea of taking a thought form, giving it some type of name, and then calling that name in as many ways as possible to wake it, right? And that's the basic idea. But what it really comes down to is the as above, so below. It's the holographic principle. And when we have an accurate representation of a ceremonial act that is presented in a ritual way that is unique to you, and those symbols are core to your karma, to your being, to your form, it just works. It just works. So, Tanamara. Wait till you see what I'm doing tonight. I have it all together where we can do a reading all at once, including all of the... it's just great. The small cards are going to stay in here initially, and they're going to be put up here separately. These are going to be in the dish read, while the masculine and feminine are separate, so that they can be read separately as well. And it's a really, really great way to go about that. And we're also going to look at some of the astrological correspondences as well. One of the things I tried to do to make it a little more clear was to find some good overlays. All right, so this is a good overlay, and what I plan on doing for readings live is to use your actual chart, right? So we're going to run the chart, put it up here as an overlay, and then we can look at your actual birth chart along with the beads. I mean, it makes me giggle at the rightness in it. There's something there that's just, there's a beautiful rightness. I've used this oracle for a very long time, decades, literally decades, but I never used it with respect to a personal birth chart. It's really something. I've used it in the sense of the houses. It's highly effective with doing the planet and the sign correspondences and so forth. It really is something. But to use an actual birth chart and then put these in the tray and read it, it's you're looking at a transit. If there's any astrologers in the room, you're looking at a transit report. You're looking at a horoscope. It's really something, and it works. And so that said, we're going to go through that exercise tonight and just look at a couple of different ways that this can be utilized. Another way is with the elemental system, right? So just looking at the colors and where they land, the heart compared to the mind, compared to the manifestation, compared to the will, and so on. And so kind of seeing what beads fall in your heart center, what beads fall in your mind, and so on. And so this is just a quick diagram. And at the top, those black and white, that's the spirit center, and those are your two selves. And so this is just a quick diagram that I put together. I plan on cleaning it up. That's why the artwork's pretty bad. I drew that with a mouse, and I'm not a good mouser. I'm very good with a tablet, but not so with a mouse. And so that said, this is another way to and I've read it this way many times here on the stream. So everybody's familiar with me using the positions of the beads to illustrate that, right? So anything that's on the top is going to be that spirit. Anything that's on the bottom areas are going to be the pentacle and the wand, and so forth. Great way to read it. And now with the male portion of that, same thing, but instead of it being implied in the stones, it's implied in the shape of the vessel. So the top portion here, this area would be spirit, right? These areas here would be your heart and your mind. These here would be the will and the body, okay? And so it's implied here in the shape of the actual dish as opposed to present in it. Now they are here and they are present, but in the masculine version they're a little more chaotic, and so they don't follow the perfection of the feminine form, which is a very different form with respect to there being this kind of archetypal perfection that is unchanging. It's unmovable. It's perfect. So that said, let me set this up so you can see what I'm imagining on the screen here. And if you guys have any feedback, please let me know, because I'm kind of doing this as I go with respect to how it's going to look on screen, the presentation, and if it's something that is actually makes sense and is something that you can gain information from. Since it is so new, some people may be confused at first at what they're looking at, and so I want to make sure that the presentation isn't too much or too little or just right, and that we can make sure that the goal of the work is attained, which is to spread truth, right? To make sure that they leave the circumstance having learned something that is valuable and that was worth going through the process, right? So let me just move some stuff around here. This is going to wind up over here. So these are just going to hang out on this side for now. Okay. And now these I'm just going to trade. And so this is going to be here. All right. Yeah, okay, good. That actually showed up pretty nice. Let me move that down a bit. There we go. Okay, so that's visible. Now this is here so that we can just reference the small cards during the reading at any time. We can always just look at the small cards, see where the suits are, apply that. So if we're in spirit and we want some additional guidance, we can go into the small cards to get additional guidance. And if we wanted to go even further, we can go into the box, pick our beads, that'll give us a digit, and then we can have an actual small card with a digit, right? And so that's what this here is for. And this is really just designed initially during this process to be the analog of the higher world version and us here on the planet doing our little human thing. This is the higher world version in space, in the fourth dimensional reality that this came from, and so forth. And then these are the even higher than that. These are supernal triad level, right? This is Binah and Chokhmah. This is like before the abyss. Okay, and so just consider that. And so the setup here is to have these two set like this so that they're visible on screen. Sometimes the shadow is a bit much, and I tried to elevate and so forth, and I'm not sure if I need to do that. But they both seem to be pretty visible right here. Move that up a bit. All right. And so if I were going to reference this and point at things, that would be clear, right? I mean, it seems like that would be relatively clear. And if need be, we could always jump to this view, but it's not that much bigger. So I'm not 100% sure what the best way to go about that is. But let me know if it doesn't work. I wanted to kind of have them separate instead of it just being a view of my desk, because there's certain things that I wanted to potentially move around. Like I might want to move this to the middle at some point, like on the fly, and kind of put it, overlay it, right? And to have that ability means that I need to have everything kind of separate, but it gives me this good opportunity. It gives me all these possibilities to move things around. So just, keep in mind if it looks funny during the process, then chime in. I need your guys' feedback, right? And to help make everything better here. So you're awesome. I can't wait. Just special. Our stone is listening, and it'll have something to say before the end of the evening, so we'll have to see what it has to say. I'm sure it's good. He always has something good to say. Right, Arlo? You're not going to come up and say hello? Okay. I promise you, there's a really, really handsome orange dog right here, and he just doesn't want to. Yeah, I'll leave him alone. I was going to lift him up and say hi, but no, I'm just going to leave him alone. He seems very relaxed, and I'm just going to leave him that way. So here, let's catch up. And scroll back a little bit. Mm. 50. Oh boy. Wow. You are a great mama. You are. Okay. Awesome. Great. Now, when I get up at the break, which is, a little while from now, but when he's going to get up too. He follows me, right? So when he gets up, I'll at least pop him up to say hi with his big, beautiful ears. He's a Chiweenie with these big, beautiful, they're like this. I mean, they're huge. And he has the gentlest, most handsome eyes you ever saw on a dog. Truly. Like, they really, I'm an eye person, so I would know. Just saying. But they're really something. I thought it would be fun too to do some more stories, do some trinket stories, and make it like a story time, 3 trinket story time. Although twice I wanted to pick 3 trinkets and picked 4, so maybe it's gonna be 4 trinket story time. I don't know. But I had fun with that. And, some of them are going to be easier than others. Some are going to be more profound than others. Let's see. Can we remember the poem from yesterday? What was the poem from yesterday? Venus. It had something to do with Venus, right? Stillness. What were the other words? Venus, stillness. I'm having trouble remembering. Does anybody remember what the poem was from yesterday? With the 3, I remember it being good. Did I write it down? Probably not, because why would I write it down? That's just too easy. Sorry, buddy. Yeah, no, I didn't write it down. Of course not. Something Venus, stillness. It was really good. It was profound. It rang true. It did. So yeah. But anytime you can actually have a decent device where you can approach it randomly and get back good, dense information is great. And so an image is perfect because excuse me, the act of bibliomancy is really effective. We've done it here many times, and it's really powerful, right? Grab a book, random page, read, wisdom. I mean, it's something. But to use an image, it's even more powerful. So we're going to have fun doing that as well. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about today, that's like the core subject, is based on a conversation I had with a very sort of creative, plugged-in mind that is in the process of walking the path, but a little further along than I think they think, which is neat, because then it lets them just approach the information without recognizing the source, and just, you know, and that's good, because I get to learn from that too. And they brought something up today that led me to a response that motivated what I'm going to speak about tonight. And I've spoken about this before here on the channel even, but I've spoken about this before with many people with respect to certain techniques for coping, certain techniques for understanding what's happening when we find ourselves in a position of suffering, which unfortunately we all do at some point. And there's many ways that we can help to... Oh, there goes Arlo. I missed it. Sorry, guys. Hey, Arlo, come here, buddy. Can you get one little high before you leave? He said, sorry, man. He'll be back. He's gone forever, okay? It seems like lately, especially, too, there's been a lot of pain going on lately. You know, I've said many, many times that healing isn't possible. Like, it doesn't work. Healing doesn't work because, healing is a misunderstanding of what we are. Because, what we are and what we think we are very, very different. And when it comes to healing, what we're trying to do is to interpret what we think where we were supposed to be back then, which wasn't what we were supposed to be to begin with, and then become that all over again. Take what we are and make us what we used to be. It's kind of like a willful going backwards. I don't know if that seems right to me. I think that I want to move forwards, or at least stay where I am, right, at the minimum, so that I can consider if it's appropriate to go backward or forward. But, ultimately, they're both false. And that's what I'm trying to get at today. With respect to healing the world, we need to. It's happening. We need to enroll as many people as possible in the power that they can have in the truth, because in that truth is peace for everyone that accepts it. And now here's the deal. There were many concepts that were taught in the Kabbalistic system in secret for a very long time, and there was a certain period of time that it was decided by the ascended masters, or whoever these ancient Kabbalists are, these 800-year-old bearded men in caves, said, all right, it's time to put it out in the open. Until that happened. And the doctrine is very simple. We need each other. We're all kind of responsible for getting back, which is an interesting idea, right? That we kind of all need to work together so that we can all walk through the door at the same time, right? And how that happens, essentially, and this is at the core of what we're talking about here with respect to the dissolution of suffering and finding real joy and real love in our lives, accessing our power to make manifest the things that we want, and that those things are not only good for us but create joy in others whenever possible. And so, how do we go about that? How does that work? Is there some mechanism? Is there some algorithm? Is there some, steps I can take to ensure that if I do these things, then I'll get to that place? Well, yes. Turns out there is. And it turns out it's really simple. It really comes down to understanding who you are. And in that understanding, the ability to understand your place. When you look out at the world and you see the pain and the suffering, it's very easy for us to maybe take a couple of different stances there. We can be saddened by what we see. We can be angry, right? We can be happy if it's an enemy and we're in a selfish state. We can be self-righteous and, go and grab our money and give it to that person who needs it and feel real good about ourselves. We can do that without regard. We could do nothing. And now here's the thing. All I want to teach here is the truth, the one truth. And it's not just that we're all in this together, or that we need each other, or that we're all connected. Those are all half-truths. We are all I. When you look out in the world and you see somebody you're trying to heal, that's yourself you're trying to heal. That's you're trying to heal. When you look out into the world at the people who are doing those bad things, those are bad parts of you. I know, Michael, but you know what? They're not going to listen. What are you going to do? Fly over to Russia and tell them to stop bombing Ukraine? You're going to start telling people, in parts of the country here to stop hating gay people? Just because, it's not going to, that doesn't work. And I get that, right? And so this isn't a political conversation. This isn't a conversation about religion. My beliefs are irrelevant. But what this is about is understanding a very, very important magic. A very important truth. We do live at the beginning and the end of time. We were born at the beginning of time. We are now residing at the end, waiting for us to catch up. And who's the us? All of us are that same single consciousness. Now consider what that means. If we do the work to heal ourselves and bring balance between our mind, body, spirit, and ultimately a clean heart, a right heart, with love, something very special happens. Each time we heal one of those old wounds, it reverberates through time and space, forward and backward. That's right. When you face something that you went through, and you are accepting the thing as something that occurred, that is a part of you, integrate with the thing that occurred, that you are capable of that same thing. And bring it into yourself. Look at it, feel it, become it. Recognize that you are the sensation. I know it hurts because it was painful. I've been there. I have a lot of pain that I go back to and that I embody. And it's very powerful and it's helpful because the moment you do, you're released from the sensation. When you become it, you can't see it. Why are we sad? Because we're noticing the pain, because we're looking at the sadness. If we become the sadness, we can't see it. We see the world, and the sadness disappears. So I've mentioned that before. There's many ways that we can go about that. There's techniques to develop that as a skill, kind of transferring emotions and emptying and refilling and so on, and it works. But this is much more profound than that, because the idea here is that, once again, if I go through a trauma and I go through that healing properly, I don't mean sitting in a chair and taking meds. Go through the work properly and recognize what's actually happening and who we actually are. We begin to heal those past wounds. And now another thing that happens, and this is really, here's the power. We heal those wounds in others also. It's beautiful. It's like a fractal response through everybody who has experienced that same pain, that same suffering, that same form of negative. The wound closes a little. Worldwide, every life that's ever lived, beginning and end of time, since all humans were born. How many people have been born and died that have gone through some suffering that we have, that when we heal ours, we will alleviate theirs. They will have coped better when it occurred. What are you talking about? That's right. I went through a trauma as a child, and it was very painful. And here as an adult, I can go through the work to understand and integrate that experience fully mentally, fully emotionally, bodily, spiritually. And when I do that, I become it. I embody it. And then I banish it. And when I do that, my old self, my young self from the past, didn't suffer the same way that I did. My old self in the past didn't experience the same level of anger and frustration and pain. He coped better, and so I'm better for it because I didn't go through it the same way I did. See how that works? The healing is actually transcended through time and space, and what happens is everybody that I was in contact with when I was that young child that was traumatized, that I affected because of that, is also healed, is also transformed. Transformation is a process. It takes steps, and that means you start at a time and you end at another time. But what we have to recognize is that we can kind of hop in between that with respect to our temporal understanding of the experience energetically, subtly, on the subtle level, very much like at the microscopic level. Gravity still affects, but very weak. But once you get below that level, the gravity has no effect at all. Once you get to a certain level of spirituality, the level is so high that time does not affect it at all. Okay? It's the opposite. Gravity and time are opposites, and at the lower level, gravity doesn't get affected. At the higher level, okay, so you see how that works. And so when time doesn't affect us at the spiritual level, that's what we're trying to talk about here. The beginning and end are the same at the higher level that we actually live at, and any healing that takes place there occurs across time and space down here. And that will affect every single being who has been affected by that pain, because don't forget, I'm you. I felt that thing you went through. You went through what I went through. And there's a little piece of your pain that's because of me. Just a little piece of my pain that's because of you. And we can work that out together, and we can heal together. And you know what? If you're not ready, that's fine. I'm doing the work, and you're going to benefit from it. And I'm not going to stop for as long as I can, because you're worth it, and we're all worth it. And when we do it, it happens for everyone, and it becomes exponential. We are entering a new age, and that new age is defined by an intolerance for injustice, for pain, for anything that will damage the fact that we belong together. Enough of this cult of I. I am nothing without you. I'm willing to admit that. I'm willing to admit that. I'm going to turn the music back up. The speed. Give me a second. Let me just put that. Yeah, that's a little better. Okay. This we're used to. I mean, with me in the slow motion because of what's going on with my computer, plus the slow motion, it must have been just bugging people out. I'm going to catch up on the chat real quick. And see where we are here. Both. Yep, I've done. I've been known once or twice in my life to run into a kill shelter and run out with dogs under my arms. Not kidding. A couple times. Okay, I've done it a lot. Never been arrested. Although I did have a wealthy person that said, "Listen, if you get arrested, I'll bond you out and I'll pay the court fees and I'll get you a good lawyer." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm down. Let's do this." I'm not kidding. There's a couple of shelters that are kill shelters, and there's a couple of other ones that would foster. And what we would do is take the dogs home on the weekends, and then during the week they would be out ready for adoption, and they'd be attempted, right? And if we didn't get it done during the week, whoever didn't get adopted got home to the foster circle, right? And we would go through that process. So every once in a while, we would kind of go to these kill shelters, walk in like we're a couple. I had a couple of people that I would use for that, like our little thing. Oh, yeah, we were just looking for a new puppy, but I don't know. We thought about maybe getting an older dog. Do you have older dogs? Oh, you do have older dogs? And I'm running out with two, that's truth. And that's how you save lives, right? And then, whatever you can bring home with you. There's certain dogs that, because I had animals, I couldn't bring home anyone that was violent or had certain diseases, obviously. And there were certain people that were willing to do that. But yeah. But right now, no, I have 3 in my life right now. Chloe, and then the new baby, Melanie, and then Arlo. Arlo is a special buddy of mine. He's my familiar, at least for the time being. Right, my guy? He really is special. One of these days I'll find a good picture and pop it up. He's a handsome guy, I tell you what. But yeah. Foster pregnant cats, that's awesome. That's cool. Yeah. And you know, what's important there too is as well is that you take care of the kittens. Like make sure the kittens are fixed and that you sort of slow that down, right? You want to slow down that density of. That's a biggie. So. Yeah. So that said, I think it's important that we do whatever we can. Especially when we find ourselves in a state of anger, when we find ourselves in a state of entitlement, when we feel like that we deserve something that somebody else has, or that we begin to think about that separateness. Why are they dressed that way? Why do they talk that way? Why do they pray that way? No, dude, that's you praying. That's you dressing. That's you talking. That's what we're trying to learn here. We're trying to learn the technique for seeing that for real, because it's the truth. And you know, it's not a technique. It's a remembering. We already know it, so it's a remembering. It's not about any kind of okay. Well, if I hum this perfect note at the right time and the moon hits Venus, then no, it doesn't. Right? You're already there. So, I thought it'd be fun to pick somebody or some subject and do a reading. We can even do something related to maybe a subject that's going on in the public or in the world, or maybe even like a totally different type of reading. We'll see. We'll just see how it flows. I think it'll be a lot of fun, and then we'll pick some trinkets and tell some stories. It might be fun too to kind of figure out who this story's for, right? I don't know, let's put this mask on real quick. I don't know what this is all about. There's this sort of dangly thing on the bottom here, and I'm not sure if that's meant to dangle. There's some wooden beads, but it looks like it kind of got tangled, so I'm not sure what it's supposed to look like. Is that meant to dangle? Is that? I guess so. I don't know. Does your finger go through that? Do you put your finger in there? No. Nope. No, I don't know. Maybe not. No. Yeah, I'm not sure. It looks obnoxious, although I have stuff dangling all over the place. But I'm not sure. But that said, though, the idea of using the beads that are in your oracle in a piece of jewelry is just, I think, a great idea. And I think it lends to the fact that it's a personal oracle. You know, if you're out and about and someone says, wow, I really like your bracelet, it's on. Well, you know. I don't know if you knew, but I'm a magus of the highest order and I can read the future. Really? Yeah. Why, you want to know? And so then, there's something special. And they're going to go, oh my gosh, that's awesome. I want one. Sorry. They're one of a kind. Jelly? Don't have to be. His name is Michael, and he will help you. But, yeah. And then you just call me up and say, listen, I'm sending my friend over and make sure that theirs isn't prettier than mine. It won't be, though. Everyone's is very personal. This is so personal to me. I'm sure that other people could read it, right? I'm looking forward to it. Tana Mary's going to read mine. I have to do some testing. I tried, I dry ran something today to see how it would work with audio, and it didn't. I have to figure something out. Obviously, you need to be able to hear her, and so I have to figure that component out. And until I do, it's going to be a little complicated to, have a guest on, and I am chomping at the bit to get her on here. She's an amazing personality. She's an amazing intuitive and reader, and I can't wait for her to play with my toys, and I can't wait to play with hers. And she is an oracle maker, and so it's going to be really interesting to see it evolve and the stuff that she comes up with too. Plus, other people here I know are going through the process. It's a lot of fun. So. As we go through, if you have any ideas or anything that works out, that you've done in the past, or that let's bounce it around and sort of like crowdsource an idea for a magical item. The purpose here is to make this connection a part of you, right? Love that. And when it becomes part of you, when you are able to integrate it, meaning that you put it on your person, you sleep with it, it becomes a part of it. The vocabulary becomes natural. You could essentially just sort of like look at your bracelet and remember, right? There's power in that. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to, because I don't want to stop in the middle, and this is going to take a while. I'm close to an hour, but I'm just going to break now. But I did add some new trinkets, so I'll turn off the mic and leave the screen up with the trinket box open in the meantime. And then we'll come back and we'll do a reading with the beads. And then we'll do a reading with tarot or I Ching, or if anyone else wants anything with respect to that. And then we're going to have fun with the trinket. I can't wait for the trinket stories. It's getting crowded. Let's do this. See if I can reveal some of the... Isn't that great? Come on, Tamara, tell me that wasn't meant to be. Are you kidding me? Jeez. Love that. This is a new one from today. Pretty neat. Look at that. It's just a plain cyan disc. You get the idea. I just love that. A peppermill. Look at that little mini peppermill. This is interesting. It's just a United Way pen, right? Charity. It's the idea of charity. We saw that yesterday. Anyway, there's all kind of goodies in here, and so let's just separate a couple. I love that. I need to find a good lily one so I can have a really good lily and rose. Right now, all I have is the rose, but I need a lily. And that just really would be special. I could turn this into a lily. This is a tulip, and that would. I mean, I can maybe turn it into a lily if I bend the petals just right, and then have something that I can put inside to be it coming out. But I really need a lily since I have it. Look at this lovely rose. There's another rose in here too that was part of that fan. Is Is that a 1986 Mets World Series pin? Why, yes it is. Okay, where is... Nobody cares, Michael. I know. If it were a Yankee pin, people would be like showing up at your house, but it's a Met pin, dude. I know. Yeah, that came off of a bracelet. Another rose. Huh? There's roses all over, but I can't find any lilies. Green disc with lines. Anyone from Florida that looks like Wachovia Bank? Right. There's also a kind of a Hudson Valley logo that's very similar to that too, like the mountains. So yeah, okay. So I'm just gonna heat my coffee up. Well, actually, I'm gonna brew another cup, and I'll be right back, and then we'll divine the nations. Isn't that what we're here to do? Some divining of nations? I don't know. I always thought that's what it looked like if you read it quickly. Divining nations. Yeah. All right, so I'll be right back. Let me jump to the desk, and I will mute the mic, and be back at the speed of, yeah. Be right back. I'm warning you, I'm feeling giddy again. Okie dokie pokey. So. Anything fun? You guys see anything? I don't know. I got an energy drink. A green disc with lines. Okay. What kind of energy drink? I wonder. Let me think. Are you a Monster person, or are you a Red Bull person, or are you a what's that one? The one that's mixed with, what do they call that? Loco something? I know that was popular back in the day. I never gave it a shot, but I know one time I was on a cruise. I was it was like one of those like 3-4 day whatever, and I was bored. I can't sleep because I don't sleep. So I went down to the bar, casino, whatever. I played some blackjack, and then I was bored playing blackjack. So I'm sitting at the bar, and I'm doing magic tricks for the bartender, which is like, that's so Michael. You're on a friggin' cruise and you're doing magic tricks for the bartender. Anyway, so he's like, here, let me make you a drink. It's something new. It was a Red Bull and vodka. Delicious. Don't do that though. That didn't work out well for me because I'm caffeinated anyway, and then he gives me a Red Bull and vodka, which I just like, look, because it was tasty. Don't do that. Bad idea. That was a fun trip though, man. I get to the Bahamas. All right, so I don't know how you guys vacation. I just saw the word purple haze. Hang on. I like the power punch, but they didn't have it, so I got purple haze. Oh, okay. I thought you meant something else. So I get to the Bahamas. I get off the boat, right? And I'm like, okay, I don't want to do the this tourist nonsense. I couldn't care less about the casinos and this whatnot, like clubs. I don't really know laying out on the beach. I could do that at home. So I said, all right, well let's figure this out, right? So I find a tour guide, and I'm like, hey man, how much for the real tour? He's like, what do you mean? I said, I want to see your country, man. I want to see your ghetto. I want to see your magic. I want to see your priests. I want to see your goddesses. I want to see your country. He said, okay man, let's do this. And he took me into this area that was now people think I'm absolutely ridiculously stupid and irresponsible and dangerous, but I believed that I was fine, and I was. He brings me into this area that was legit ghetto. I mean, you don't know ghetto until you've been in the ghetto in the Bahamas, right? So every sign is like, and I'm not kidding, every sign is wear a condom so you don't die of AIDS. Protect your things. That's what it said. Things with no H, with an apostrophe. Protect your things, right? Quit spreading AIDS. Crazy. When you get off the boat, there's people with machine guns, right? It's a weird country. Beautiful, but the government is not what you think, right? And so I'm getting driven. I'm in this guy's car. I'm getting driven into the deeper and deeper. It's getting pretty harsh. I mean, I come from Brooklyn. I know what harsh looks like, the projects. I used to walk through them for school when I was a kid. I used to step on crack vials, right? In the 80s. And so, old hat. But then we get to his house. And it's like a makeshift kind of house. Of like 3 trailers that were sort of stuck together with planks, and he had put some tin over the roof, and and he was super proud. He's like, yeah, look what I did here, look what I did. It was really, and it was kind of awesome what he did. And then he takes me in the back, and we go in the back, and there's a bunch of people sitting around in a circle, and there's one dude up against a tree like this, looking down, with a garbage bag full of marijuana coming out of the top. Imagine like a normal metal tin can with a big black garbage bag, that size bag, just full. And he's like this. Next. and just banging out these like monster blunts. And I'm like, okay, well, I wound up at the right place, right? And so, and now there's the bunch of people are sitting around just chilling out, and there's like 3-4 of these things getting rolled around, and I just plop my butt right in there. And now I'm wearing a very interesting t-shirt, just to be clear. I'm wearing a concert t-shirt that I got from Dream Theater. That it was a t-shirt that commemorated their 8 studio albums, and in the middle were their 5 live albums. And so it looks like it's like a Fibonacci sequence of these 8 and 5 in a pentacle with this like, and so it almost looks like a magical symbol. And I must have looked like the devil to some of these people, like really. I wasn't decked out, like I'm not wearing all my adornment, but still, you know, I had a quality about me as I spoke, and I had this symbol. Anyway, and so finally, the guy that was rolling the bags spoke, or rolling the blunts, and he says something along the lines of, "Where's the food?" And then this door opens, and the smell hits. Someone's been inside all day long, and whatever they've been doing is done. And it's coming, and I'm like, this is getting better. And so, you know, again, I'm enjoying the marijuana. I'm enjoying the conversation, completely in a mellow place. And we're just shooting stories around, right? And then it got spiritual. It was really cool. I didn't expect that because, although I wanted it, I didn't think I was going to wind up in a place where there would be any magic, right? It just seemed like a bunch of people doing their thing. There was his next door neighbor. Truth, this got me drunk, like high. The next door neighbor was painting his car, just out in the street, painting his car, like, you know. And so, no mask, right? No nothing, just like it's no big deal. And we were sitting there just huffing that all day. God bless, man. His name was Mr. Bojangles. That was the tour guide's name, Mr. Bojangles. And anyway, long story short, you know, I couldn't take anything on the boat, and I didn't want to. It wasn't about that, you know. It was about just the experience. So we told a bunch of stories. I ate a bunch of amazing food, and the food just kept coming and kept coming and kept coming, and it's like, wow, this is great. And I gave him a big stack of money, and he was happy about that because, you know, he did, you know, if you consider everything that he gave to me that day, like I've never been on a date that great. I've never been on a vacation that great. I've never been to anything where I had to spend money with the intent of them providing me pleasure, and it been that great. I wonder if he's still doing, I mean, this was a long time ago, probably not, but it was really something special. You know, and he said something at the end of the night too, like, you know, the reason that I did this is I just kind of felt there was something there, like I thought that you would fit in. How weird, right? And I did. It was cool. It was cool, and we kept in touch. There was a couple people there that actually emailed back and forth for years. You know, they were trying to build a website and do some things, and I had a knack for that at the time, and well, I still do, but I had a knack for it at the time. And you know, it helped them to sort of bring their culture to America in some special ways. It was a lot of fun, and it all just came from me getting off the boat and saying, you know what, I don't want to do this tourist crap, man. Don't drive me to a casino. I don't want to see the mansion everybody looks at, you know, whatever, man. He did, however, take me to a spot where I could sign a geocache, which was cool. It was stuck in a concrete wall. It was really neat. And so I got to sign a geocache in another country. That was fun. I hear there's one at the top of the pyramid. I'd love to find out. That would be a blast. That's funny because there's a camel. Is that a camel or a dromedary? I don't know. Which one's which? Can't tell. So, let's do this. Would you guys rather do the trinkets first or the beads? I'll put it out to the room. I'll let everybody decide. And if you want to do the trinkets, we'll do trinkets. If you want to do the beads, we'll do the beads. But we'll do a reading for an individual, for an actual person. So it won't just be a demonstration. We'll do a live actual reading using both techniques just to have fun, because why not? Let's get that set up in the meantime. Make sure that everything's lined up properly. Beads? Okay, we have a vote for beads. Didn't know there were different kinds, though. They were all camels, yeah. Well, one is, one has 2 humps, one has 1 hump. Okay, that's 2 votes for beads. Awesome. Vesta Pida. The fact that they're both 2-syllable words, and they end in an ah sound, with a, with a decent, like a fun consonant, it's cool. I don't know, it's fun to vibrate. So that's 2 votes. I think the beads are going to win. Let's just do it. So I'm not going to go through the entire story. I've told the story twice now. And so I'm not going to go through the entire story as far as her manifestation, the dance, and so forth. And so what we're going to do is just assume that all took place, okay? And if you want to see it happen, 2 streams ago, I think it was it 2 streams? Or was it yesterday's? One of those, I had the feeling like I completely, totally nailed it as far as the description, how it, Yesterday, I think, was the final revealing where I had all the beads complete. And I colored the moon, so it's actually a real moon. It's not fully white, it's both, right? And so it has the opportunity to have phases. So we're just going to assume that took place, okay? The lovemaking has happened, and the baby has been born, okay? And so now what we do typically is that these 2 are unified together in here. This then gets put into manifestation, right? So this gets born into manifestation. We have all the planets, the signs, the small cards are here, and in here we have 4 asteroids and the significator. There's the only other beads that are in here that are not related to the 22 letters are 4 asteroids. And the way these are symbolic in here, with respect to the 22 letters, these are the 4 worlds. Okay, the 4 worlds of the name of the tree. Okay, and so now these are the only beads that are not part of that. We have the 4 worlds themselves, which are representative of Vesta and Eros, Apophis and Psyche, and then this is your holy guardian angel, okay, or your higher self, or the significator, or the other. Another way to put this is your other, right? Okay, and so that's in here as well. Let me make sure Apophis can't fit through that hole. No, okay, good. Because he's the smallest thing in here right now, other than Psyche, but I don't know if she'll fit. No, okay, good. Give it a shuffle. Okay, so let's just get that lined up and make sure the overlay lines up. So I'm just going to pop up one of the overlays to make sure that it's in. Okay, perfect. Incidentally, that's Aleister Crowley's chart, I believe. Or is that mine? That's mine. This is my birth chart. Any astrologers in the room want to know who I am? There it is. Capricorn rising, Taurus moon, Sag sun. And it's pretty interesting. I'm void in 8. I'm void in 2, right? My 1 and 2 are empty. 8 is empty. But anyway, here's my chart and have fun with it. In the meantime, though, yeah, I've got the deacon lined up and then the elements. Okay, good. So we're ready to go there. And now this is here just to sort of witness in the meantime and to give us additional guidance if we need it. These are the small cards. The 4 suits, the 10 cards of each suit, and so forth. It's all there. The tools, basically, all of the tools. Where did I put? Okay, let's put that there. Now, there's a couple of ways that we can read these. The first way I like to read it is starting here. We start in the middle because this is our world. This is the world we live in. Physical manifested reality. This is our environment, and this is our sort of minutia. Now, what these are, and I've mentioned it before with respect to my algorithm and the magical system I developed, is that higher lower world idea, and the idea of that the higher world is a divine template, and the lower world is a reflection of that. So these are literally identical. The difference is that she is unchanging. She, the beads don't move. The beads around shuffle, but those 5 beads, which are her main sort of elements, the unification of the tools of the suits, and then finally manifested as spirit, are unmovable. In his case, he also has 5 beads, but his 5 beads are movable. They're in his form. They're part of his karmic form, but they move with him. Okay, so what this is the divine unchangeable in all of its glory, and what this is the lower world version that changes and moves and is a little more rugged. It's angular, a little more natural in the colors and that type of thing, right? The wooden as opposed to the metal and so forth. And so it's this nice, really yin-yang of the masculine and feminine energy. So how it's read is we read the dish with the beads as they stand, and then if we need additional guidance, we can go here for that, or anytime we would like, especially for love readings, connection readings, readings related to you making decisions where there's potentially a difference between how you'd react emotionally and mentally. Using this system here and these two in conjunction with this is very similar to applying an oracle deck with a tarot deck, right? So you do the tarot reading and then you use the oracle to kind of enhance or clarify or really just like drive home a certain point that you maybe have some issues with clarity on, and that's how these are used. Because don't forget, these two are the source of this. This is a holographic representation as one body of these two. So they're the same thing. But because they're read separately, we can get much more granular information here once we've read this. It's really quite powerful. And then this is the exact same thing. This is ultimately the grand physical manifested playing out, unfolding of all of this. And so they all connect. They're all telling the same story. They're all different versions of the same truth. And ultimately at the top is that one thing, which is the catcher, the smooth gold catcher, right? And so we're going to shuffle this. Let me shuffle her first, actually. So I can do that and then put her beads back. And then she'll be ready to be read. And then I'll shuffle him and then we'll do the middle. Okay, so I'm just going to put the witness out here. Let's give it a quick shuffle. Down. Okay, so she's nice and shuffled now. Same here. Now, he's a little more active, right? This one you got to pick up. You got to remove the beads. You got to be delicate with her. She's delicate because she's a perfect form. And so any deviation, any variation from her perfected form is just making it less perfect. And so it's not a matter of her being fragile. It's a matter more of the fact that that you want to respect the perfection of the form and not mess with it, right? Now, he's different. He don't care. He's meant to move around. Right? He has his own significator, okay, which is actually a pointer. It's a vector. It's an arrow, right? And now I have it going from the blue to the red. So if it's this way, it's pointing like that. If it's this way, it's pointing like that, and so forth, right? And so however it lands gives us an indication of where to look as far as the elements. So we're just going to give them a quick stir. get that really shook up. Okay. Now I'm tilting him this way because I want that to be the spirit center of the pentagram. And we're going to look at that in a moment, okay? And now let's just give this a stir, and then we'll be ready to read. In the meantime, who and what am I reading? So let's figure that out. What I'm reading and for whom. And then once we have that decided, I'll shuffle and we'll begin, okay? Did I break the clip? No, okay. That's it, I'm getting my eyes lasered. No, I'm not. We could do a reading. We could do a love reading. We could do a karmic trajectory. We can do something related to if somebody's starting a new business. That's not bad either, whether or not you have to enroll certain people in the process. We can do an astrological house reading, which those are really good because the astrological house reading is sort of, it's general, but it's specific, meaning that it's general with respect to the, you're not asking a specific question typically, although you can, and it's powerful if you do. It's also specific because each house has a very, very defined positional meaning. And, you know, because that positional meaning is so exact, it's hard to mistake that. It lends to a very powerful sort of karmic, why don't you keep the glasses on? Far be it from me to deny a woman. These are readers, though. So they're readers. They're just looking up at the screen. I can't use them, right? So I'd have to kind of keep them on my nose, and to be honest, they get a little uncomfortable. They're kind of heavy. These are heavy. I do have a lighter pair. Hang on. I do have a lighter pair. I have the glasses I'm supposed to be wearing all the time, but the middle range doesn't work for my distance. I'm supposed to be wearing these 100% of the time, right? Yeah, that's distance. Yeah, these don't work for, the readers don't work. These are my progressives, and I just don't wear them because they give me headaches. I got used to them pretty quick. It only took me about a day to get used to the progressive, but now the magnification's not enough. My eyes are slipping fast. These are just readers. .5s. I don't know, these aren't bad. You know what that reminds me of? Johnny Depp as Ichabod Crane with that contraption. I just love that. That's one of my favorite roles of his. Yeah, wow, these look better, don't they? I can see better with these. All right, I'm gonna keep these. So, all right, I'm gonna shuffle in the meantime, and then if you know, what is it that everyone would like to learn about? What should we read about? Seashells? Who wants to yell at Mercury? Enough with the internet problems, bro. I'm trying to get stuff done, man. Okay. Yeah, it's really hard to pick up a round bead with chopsticks. There's Mars. There was Mars. There's my Mars. Isn't he cute? Let's put him next to Venus. Okay, so here's the deal with the moon. I had a conversation with somebody about the moon, right? My question was, should I thought about having a one moon that is completely white, one moon that's completely dark, and then a third moon that's half and half, right? And this is the half and half one. So we can actually represent the phases, right? We can actually kind of see it go through the phases by turning it. And that's kind of neat, but I thought it might also be neat to have the maid mother crone energy literally present in the dish. Or is that too much? I think it might be too much. The more I think about it, I think the math is correct the way that it is, but it seems like it begs to have that threefold symmetry in the feminine energy. Which is kind of present anyway, because we have the moon energy, right? We have Binah, which is definitely feminine energy. And then we have Venus. Right, and so these are three, there they are. Right, so they are there. In different forms, right? And I guess as far as the maid would be Venus, the mother would be the moon, and then the crone would be Binah. So, I mean, it is present in its current state. It's interesting, too, that there are three different colors. That's kind of neat. And the lunar energy is present, both in the moon itself, as well as in the High Priestess, right? So, I don't know what to do. Oh wait, Tanamera has a message for the people in the room. Okay. Dark Shadows. That was great. Yeah, he's good. He gets it. What was that movie he did with the devil and the book and all that? I forget what that one was called. So who are we reading for? Eros. No, that's not Eros. That's Vesta. This is Eros. There he is. Get over here. Yeah, you haven't experienced life until you've attempted to manipulate the universe with chopsticks. Because consider, too, the holographic nature of what we're talking about. What this is literally the solar system. Not figuratively, it's literally the solar system, right? I mean, here's Jupiter, here's Venus, right? Here's the moon, the sun, it's all there, right? And here's Gemini, right? It's all there. Here's Neptune, you got Pluto, Mercury. But this is also a holographic representation of your spirit, the different parts of our psychology, the different parts of our form, the different parts of our heart, what they respond to, the language they speak, it's all there. And it's there from a holographic representation all the way down to the the macro and the microscopic, right? And so this also includes that we're looking at here. It can be representative of many different circumstances. It doesn't just have to be planetary. It's very much in the same way as the tarot cards are. We look at, say, for instance, Cancer, and think of the Chariot. Fine. But, you know, that same card means many different things, and that same sign means many different things. That has nothing to do with the Chariot. And so there's value there. You could read for me if you want. I don't have any specific questions, though. Cool. Sounds good. Okay. We could do that. Okay, so does anyone have a specific question? Well, you can read for me, but I don't have any questions. Oh, okay. You made me smile. Thank you for that. Okay, so let's do this then. Let's ask it what we're supposed to know. And that's the beauty of the significator. It just points right at what we're supposed to see, right? So now that we know who we're reading for, I'm going to center. Try to put the energy that I know of you into my heart. And attempt best to communicate what I see. Okay, so what we're going to do is stir it up now. And we're going to look at this is the bead that we're looking for. These are the beads you're looking for. Okay, so, all right. I'm warning you, I'm feeling giddy. Right, R2? Why don't you join us tonight? I think R2 is going to join us tonight. It's been a while since he's been on, like, actually present. So I think we need a witness to the working, and there is no greater symbolic witness in the entirety of the galaxy than everybody's favorite little droid. Ladies and gentlemen, R2-D2, that's right. R2-D2 is in the house, and he's going to be watching. I'm going to put him right here. Okay. So, let's see what we have to see for I'm smitten for a kitty. She's so warm I don't need mittens. I dropped my chopstick. Let's give it a quick stir and get going here. I'm going to turn the bowl. Now, what I've done here, I just want to show you what I did. I have my other oracle underneath, my manifestation oracle. Now, what I have is the pouches that contain the beads for the oracle, for all of them. Each one's separate, right? The one for the completed, the one for the male, the one for the female. And I also have a doily underneath that's blocking the beads, right? It's sort of covering up the manifestation oracle. And so what I've done is by putting these down here, and putting this on top of it, it gives me the ability to turn the plate while not moving it in the space, right? It doesn't move on the desk. And so it seems to me it doesn't make noise. It's a smooth spin, and it's been very handy. And so it's just to kind of put that out there, when you're developing your own dish, if it's something that you plan on keeping stationary, then you can just have something underneath with a little piece of cloth that you can spin it around, right? And so what I'm going to do is give it another shuffle, and then I'm going to spin it and stop, and then we're going to go from there. And we're going to be looking for this bead. Tell us what we need to hear. I'm going to take the knowledge that we learned from that, and I'm going to apply it to the two worlds to kind of break it down for everybody, okay? So let's just go through that process. Look at that. Oh, wow. Neat. Wow. Neat. Just the spirit right away. And let me. First thing I'm going to read is the pentacle. Okay. So let me get that up so you see what I mean. And the colors tell us the suit that I'm looking at. They tell us the language I'm listening to. So the top area there is going to be the spirit center, the masculine, feminine, the divine mind. The only place that's real, all right, and that's going to be in the area of this with the black and white area. The blue, or that side of the dish, is going to be the heart area. Now that includes the middle, that's purple, but so imagine that as a gradient of purple into blue, and then imagine there a gradient of that purple going into yellow, right? And then on the bottom is the same thing with that greenish and red, which is the pentacle and the wand, right? the will and the thing created, the thing that we will to create, the thing that we were wanting to make happen. And then in the middle is that sort of unified energy, which interestingly, it's funny, that point on the hexagram is landing right here on Neptune. But we'll get there. So, and is also pointing directly through Chokmah, the divine masculine. So, but anyway, that said, I'm going to take the diagram off, but just know if I'm referencing the right-hand portion of the lost chopsticks. Okay, somebody saw me put them down. They're okay. Then I'm referencing the heart, right? And so we're going to be in this area here of the heart. And same thing with the yellow being the divine mind or communication, the will, and so forth. It's the language of the tarot, the language of the elements, Okay. And so as it stands right now, we're going to be looking at the spirit section first. And the spirit section is the part that references before all of the manifestations, before the heart, before the body, before the mind. This is where the source of these things. And now up there, the first thing we have is the moon. And how the moon is placed, I want to be clear, I'm reading it from my perspective. So you guys are seeing it top down, right? And so you see it like even. I'm seeing it as a full moon, okay? I see a full moon. I don't see any black. And right next to it is Binah. That's the divine feminine. And next to that is Keter, the crown, the completed work. But that now has gotten out of spirit and has moved into communication. We're going to talk about that because that's a biggie. What does this mean? The full moon in spirit that's slowly take a gradient into the Binah, which is like the slow descent down, and then into the mind is divine crown. So this is like this person has had divine crown installed into their mind. Yes. Another way to put that is divine feminine, because it's the moon and Binah. This is like straight up divine feminine, right in the brain. And that has happened. That has occurred. Now, interestingly, here as well, we have a few different ideas. Like, for instance, in the spirit center surrounding the moon, we have a couple of different things here. We have 2 planets. We have an asteroid. Okay. Now, actually, that's a sign, not a planet. Sorry. Oh, wait, that was hiding in there, too. But she's underneath, though, so, okay. Which one are we talking about? That's Aries. We have Pluto in Aries. We have Pluto in Aquarius. We have Saturn in Pisces. We have Vesta right next to the moon. Okay. Vesta, from my respect, is the virginal goddess. It was kind of like the untainted, pure, divine, feminine warrior, right? So it's essentially the fact that when the energy is distracted by courting, it becomes directed toward creation of the child, and the energy is toward the family. However, the virginal goddess, very much like Mary, the focus is very different. There's this idea of having room for holiness, because you're not having to focus on the mundane. But from a very, very energetic, like a high energetic level. So what that allows her to do is to sort of like be the feminine sword, as opposed to the cup, right? So, and that's present here. Which is within the space of, Pluto and Saturn are both flanked with Pisces and Aries in that same spot. So this is like, whoosh, hang on a minute. Let me just speak that to myself again. Pluto and Saturn are flanked together by Aries and Pisces. Pisces is more into the Saturn energy, and Aries is more into the Pluto, but they're together. And now let's look at that. Hidden feelings. Things not spoken. Willfully hidden. There's multiple things too, right? So there's this interesting idea here. What we have is this divine feminine being installed directly into the mind, but here in the heart center, coming from divine and then into heart, as opposed to the divine into mind. Divine into heart is this idea that you're hiding your thought. You're speaking something, but you're afraid to speak that thing. Saturn in Virgo at the same time as Saturn in Pisces. But this is more the outward part of the heart that you're showing. You're showing Virgo, but you're feeling Pisces, and it's all ruled by Saturn. So just imagine what that means. It's kind of like your outward self is sort of like, you have a practical outside. You're showing people what you think they need, kind of keeping it business, right? But that's not what you're feeling at all. What you're feeling is totally different, and it's actually kind of the opposite of that. And it's actually even being fueled by like Aries energy, and it can potentially even cause like some heaviness. Let me just peek at the will, because that's where we have the significator, and the significator is appearing not only in the will portion right here, but what we also have is that it's pointing directly at divine masculine. So just to be clear, the will is pointing directly at divine masculine. The heart is looks like a crush, and you have the feminine energy feeding into communication. So it's being spoken, or it's attempting to be spoken, but maybe not being picked up. It's like it's not being heard, because the idea here is that it's falling under Keter. Like it's a rightness. It's almost like this communication is holy. This isn't like the internal desire. This is a real, like a karmic connection. Because for this to fall the way that did, and it be Keter, is not a joke, right? So I'm going to just pause. I'm going to ask you if you want any clarification on that, or if you have any questions about what I've spoken about, because we just really we did heart, mind, and spirit, and then we wound up in will. We haven't looked at manifestation yet, and so we can get there, but I'm going to pause and see if you have any questions. Brianna, how's it going? I just looked up. What time? Oh, it hasn't been too long. Good evening. It's good to see you. Well, good to see you. You do that a lot, those particular symbols, and every time I see them, it's sort of like bittersweet, right? But so yeah, I'm just gonna like pause and ask if you have any questions about that. I have a slight headache coming on, and so I'm gonna work at the same time to destroy that. And the way that I'm going to do that is the way that I've taught here, is basically you go into the headache, you identify with it, you embody it, and then once you embody it, you don't feel the pain any longer because you are it. And so seeing a headache is what gives it attention. So if I am the headache, I can't see it. There's no attention. It's kind of like looking at the back of your head with your own eyes. Can't do that, right? And so it's impossible for me to give attention to a headache if I am the headache. Man, that was quick. It's absolutely just gone. Love that. I'm not kidding. I hope you believe me. I don't think I have questions. Okay, good. Great. Okay, so then what I'm going to do now is look at these. Let's take a look at these and how the higher version and the lower version can give us additional guidance on what we've learned here. Okay, and before I do that, let's just look at the manifestation center. We're going to look at the pentacle center, right? And so just to pop that up, this is what I'm talking about. The bottom green area there, okay? And that bottom green area, starting from the middle, not just the chunk that's there, that's just graphically how it came out. And I'm going to redo this. This was get something done quick for tonight. It's not 100% accurate as far as what I'll be using in the future. It was a quick down and dirty for this evening. But that green section is what we're going to be looking at. And what that is the pentacle section, and that's what's going to tell us what it is that you actually desire to be made manifest. And it also can give us an idea with respect to what is it that you have at your disposal right now. Right? Mm-hmm. Right there with you. Yeah. Embodying is fun because you know what happens? You can embody somebody. This is the idea of quantum entanglement. And this is the exact idea of teleportation. Quantum teleportation is the idea of taking a particle and you entangle it with another particle that you then send to another place. Okay, and now those particles are entangled. You then take that particle and entangle it with another one. And so when you change this one, you change the third one. Boom, boom. And this one swaps with the third, so it actually travels in time and space. So what we do is I embody the other. As the other, while they're embodied, I embody the coffee, swapping personality. So the person I embodied is now in the coffee, and I'm back to myself, and then I drink the coffee, thus consuming the other. And so it's an idea of almost like an across time and space communion. Well, it's not like, it literally is. Right? So let's just give this a quick karmic stir. Twist, and now I'm going to look here and we'll take a look at what we're seeing in her, and then we're going to see from his perspective. Alrighty. Okay. So in the meantime, what I'm seeing as far as up there, let me get rid of this so it's not distracting the colors. Okay, very good. What I'm seeing is in the spirit bead, which is this one right here. How does that look on that? Okay, good. This is the spirit bead. Okay, you'll see it's on either side surrounded by one will and one manifestation. There's one body, one will. And next to that, we have two swords on either side of that. This one is speaking the heart of that body. This is a unification of divine body and mind, or in heart, being spoken. And this is over on the heart side. On the mind side is all will. And over here, if you remember that progression, how that was going when we were originally there, it was the idea of that divine feminine being installed directly into the mind, but the masculine was the pure will of the situation was masculine. So this will that's in the spirit, if you look down here as well in that will center, is a very similar circumstance. That communication is that same energy, and here that's directly in the heart. So the heart in the spirit center is in that same place. Let's look at if we see the progression, though, from where we went from here to here and then down from here to here, we're going to read that same thing here. So first we're going to go across this line, and that's going to tell us what's coming from the heart and attempted to be communicated, and also what's the thing that we are hearing that we took into our hearts, right? And this is at a higher level, so this is like archetypal. This isn't small day-to-day stuff. This is, you know, much, much higher level stuff. So first going from the heart into, it might be easier for me to read it on the screen. And this is the learning that I wanted to go through to see if it would be easy for me to see it while reading it, you know, on the screen. But okay, so yeah, I guess it'll be easier this way. I can see it either way. We're fine. So moving from heart into mind, what we have here is the this is the same idea here. It's, if you notice, it's an analog, right? So spirit and heart are actually reflecting the same thing, and there's that one voice in the middle. So there's no confusion here. What you're hearing into your heart is truth, right? What you're feeling in your heart is truth. That voice is singular. That's an important component here. Here we do not have that case. What we have here, from your heart into your mind has two voices. Okay, you see those two silver beads? There's one right there, and there's one right there. Okay, and so those two silver beads are representing that in the mind there's two voices, and in the heart there is one. Okay, there's those two voices of the mind. There's the one voice of the heart right there. Okay, and so that is a good thing with respect to your emotions being aligned, but you're having some confusion mentally, like, why am I feeling this way, or why am I confused about how I'm feeling, or whatever the case may be. But you're not really 100% confident in your emotions in this state here. And there's also, there's some blockage. If you notice, the heart right underneath those two voices is a pentacle, like mass, like solid, which can prevent the flow of energy. And if you consider the pentagram or the pentacle and how you draw it, this bead has one of two places it can go, and that's really kind of it, right? With respect to how pentagrams are drawn. And so if we're here, and it might be easier to actually bring the diagram up. And so if we consider what we're looking at here, if you're drawing this pentacle, and you're over here, you can only go to this spot. Yeah, that turned out to be not the idea I was looking for. Okay. You could either go here or here, right? You can't jump down, and you can't jump up. So you're either going across here or across here. So that means that you're either speaking to the heart or speaking to the will. It's either the will spoken or the heart spoken. Right? You can't speak spirit. I've mentioned that many times. You can't hear your voice with the ear. Right? Okay. And same thing here. So consider that when you're looking through the direction of drawing the pentacle, and that you can't jump on the outside edge. That circle is a different working, and it's not one I've talked about. It's a little more complex, and its usage is not relevant to, per se, daily kind of readings, right? But I want to focus here as well on this pentacle area here, because it is surrounded by pentacles. There's two hearts in this manifestation. Something will be created. It's two hearts, one will. This other will here is connected to the wand, so we're not getting there. Right now we're looking at pentacles. We're still in this section. Two hearts, one will. Lots of manifestation physically. Okay, there's a lot of physical stuff going on here. Things being made real. Okay, and so let's take a look at this, which is a very active answer to the question. This is the archetypal, template-y, unchangeable version. This is the matrix by which the crystal grows upon. This is the crystal. All right. Okay. Let's give it a shuffle. And we're going to read it very similarly at first. And then if depending upon where you are with your satisfaction with the answer, we may employ a house reading. And we don't have to do all 12. We can pick what you want to look at. Like, oh, I'm curious about my health. I'm curious about my, friendships, whatever they're right. And so we can go down the list and kind of pick which ones you want to look at, and then apply it to the space, and then do the reading. Okay. I'm just going to spin it around a couple times and pick a spot to go on top. Alrighty. One will, one heart, tons of fire, right? Okay. There's a lot of, the spirit center of this circumstance is intense. In the spirit, it's intense. Down here, it's pure karma, but nothing, it's not obvious. Like, if you look, all right, okay. This is the spirit area, right? That's, you have a pentacle, you have a heart, and you have all kinds of fire, right? It's all up in spirit. There's one fire down here that is relevant to some stuff being made manifest. But those are two of the karmic beads. These two beads right here are karmic, okay? And what those represent is this idea that there's stuff going on. This thing that's going to be created is actually kind of like a big deal. Like, this thing that's going to be created is actually relevant to your journey. There's two hearts relevant to it. Like, there's a rightness to it. And now, let's look at the significator. It's pointing at a very specific direction. It's pointing at the will. So it's telling us to read the will. Let's do that. Okay, so down here, in the will area, we have Mars, Jupiter, I want to check a chart real quick. Give me a moment. Wrong one. There it is. Okay, yeah. Yep. Yeah, wow. Okay, so Mars and Jupiter in Capricorn. Mars and Jupiter in Capricorn, and Pisces and Mercury. So let's just be clear what we have here. In the will section, actually, you know what? No, I'm wrong. He's not pointing at the will. He's pointing at a house. He's pointing at a house. Is that 5? Is he pointing at the 5th house? Yeah, sorry about that. No, he's pointing at a house. He's pointing at 5. Yes, he is. Yep. If he was pointing at 4, it'd be more toward the bottom. Because 3, 4 share the bottom, right? So 3 and 4 share the bottom. He's pointing over here. Like, he's pointing at 5. So 5th house, your pleasure. Ooh. Things just got serious. Okay, so all kidding aside, it's pointed at this section And it's telling us to look at the 5th house, and let's read this with respect to the 5th house then. As opposed to the will, right? So we're not reading it elementally, we're reading it otherwise. Emotional intelligence. Active and intense love. But not necessarily physical, but that is present, but that's not really it. This crush that I talked about is not a crush. It's different than that. This is Capricorn. Let me just show you guys Capricorn. Remember, I wasn't going to give you, I wasn't going to name all of the signs until they came up in a reading. So now that I came up, I'll show you. This is my Capricorn. Okay. I don't know if that's clear, and the color's clear. It's kind of like a very soft rose quartz. Okay. Great. Look at this too. How beautiful is this? Mercury is pointing at Capricorn. Let me show you that. This is Mercury. Right, it has multiple phases, including that tail sticking out right there. See that tail? Mercury, it's kind of like the point of the wings on his feet and on his crown. But he's pointing directly at this relationship between Capricorn and Jupiter. Jupiter is touching Venus. Capricorn is touching Mars, right? And so you get the idea there. There's a lot of dynamic energy and positive and big and powerful and karmic, and you're in for something. Now let's take a look at the significator. Guess what? It's pointing right, look at this. It's pointing right directly at Chokmah again, that divine masculine. Like, it's like, pay attention, right? So it's coming from spirit into the voice again. Like this, you're being told. That's the idea of that. You're being told by the higher self that your pleasure is this thing that's going to be made, right? So cool. Now, if you want, we can do a small card, or we can call it decent and go from there. Sitting here laying in bed watching. Oh, you eating Chinese? I love it. Are you chicken lo mein, or are you beef lo mein, or are you shrimp lo mein? Who used to have white rice with gravy? I used to do that so much. When I just didn't know what I wanted to eat, I would just pop into a Chinese food restaurant and I'd eat white rice and gravy. Cool. Okay, so what we're going to do here is I'm going to separate them and then do the small cards separate and go from there. So the way I'm going to do that is I don't think she's going to make it in there, right? Oh, she might make it in there if I push, but I don't think that the supernals will make it in there right now. Okay. Which makes sense. Right? They're above the abyss. Oh, my Jupiter is not going to fit. My Jupiter is not going to fit. That's what she said. Okay, so, all right. Well, I guess I'm going to put them in their pouch instead of in the... okay, so this was just going to sit here. Beautiful and clear and possibility without definition. And so let's just put these back in here. Nope. Okay. Good. Good, good. All right. I like to put my listening stone on there because it allows him to hear everything that's going on, and so he can speak it to me later. He hears things I can't. Like, I literally am not capable of hearing, so it works out well. We have a good relationship, him and I. He's honest with me. I kind of like that. Okay. Give me a moment, actually, Kitty. I need to... stretch real quick and you know, I never get as much sleep as I think I'm going to when I plan, and today was one of those days where it was good. It's always good. I'm not complaining, but I expected to get a little bit more, and I wound up with like 2.5, and that's not enough. That's bad, and so I'm starting to get a little confused, and the headache is it keeps creeping in, and it's like it was gone and it's back. It's gone. It's back. It's okay, so. What we're looking at here is the small cards, right? And it includes a couple of things. It includes all of the suits in 2 versions, right? This is the sword of the masculine sword, and this is the feminine. They're both speaking. Okay. This is the masculine, and this is the feminine wands. Notice hers are unchanged. They are the same as they were, right? And his have changed based on her. Hers is infallible, unchanging. Right? Then we have the cups, the masculine and feminine pentacles. These are the feminine, the green. These are the masculine. Right. Yeah, I don't know. I usually take ibuprofen. Maybe I should start taking Tylenol. I've had a lot of headaches lately. You know, it's basically due to abusing caffeine without eating properly and getting no sleep. So I don't need Tylenol. I need to treat my body properly. I need to practice what I preach. Yeah, I know. Okay. I guess we could use this also to pull some small cards, so to speak. So we'll do that. We'll, you know, take advantage of the binary calculator. And then we can just pull a quick digit, grab a card, use that as a significator, and then read based on the significator. So let's do it that way. So the first thing I'm going to do is now I'm going to pull one of the small beads, or any of them. That'll give me a suit. And then I will use the second beads to determine the number. So let's just start there. It doesn't matter if you pick a mini one, right? Like in this particular case, it would be water, right? Or if you pick a, like this one here would be a pentacle, so on. This is a cup, but you get the idea. So let's go ahead and go through that exercise here. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pick suit. Okay, that's a feminine pentacle. So this is going to be a princess. So we don't need a number. If we would like to, we can just call this pentacle and then pick the number. Well, let's do that actually as an exercise, because we could use the court card, which that would be the princess, and then we would pick another one. That's another pentacle, so this would be the Princess of Pentacle. But instead, I'm going to take the pentacle that I picked, and now I'm going to use the calculator to derive a digit. And the way that we do that is we just pick 4 beads. There's only 2 kinds in here. There's masculine beads and feminine beads. Okay, and you'll see which is which in mine. Yours will be different, but in mine in a minute. And so I'm just going to pick one. Okay. That's a masculine bead, so that's a 1 in the binary spot. I'm going to go again. I'm going to pick a small bead now. Okay. That's a feminine bead, so that's a 0. So far it's 1, 0, so the number is 1. That's masculine, so we're at 1, 0, 1. So right now we're at a 5. We're at 5. And then finally, let's pick a small bead. Female. So this is the 5 of Pentacle. Okay? 5 of Pentacle. That's what we're reading right now. The 5 of Pentacles is the card of, if you're familiar with the image of the people that are crippled, that are walking next to a church, and it looks like they're going to be in need of help, right? Like they're in a state of need. And it's basically the idea of having the strength to recognize that when that need exists, to allow yourself to give into it. And that it's okay to ask for help. And that it's okay to receive help. And it's also not okay to abuse help. Okay. But ultimately, the 5 of coin I'm going to be using as the basis for the significator for the reading. Because what the idea here is that there's this connection between you and another person to create something. And there's a very strong desire to make that happen in a karmic level. In fact, it's sort of like destined. Like you can't stop it. There's a karmic trajectory that is almost like a train with the level of it came up everywhere under every circumstance, and it was very specific. So let's take a look. I'm going to shuffle, and then we're going to use the 5 of Pentacle as the significator, and consider a couple of different ways to read this. Like we've looked at the elemental. We looked at the birth chart. Let me jump back into the appropriate screen here. Okay, there you go. We've looked at some other things, but let's look at the houses. The houses are going to be handy here because it's sort of specific guidance without asking a question necessarily, right? There you go. Nope, wrong one. Yep, okay. And so, what house should we look at first? I'm not sure what that means, Bree. Oh, is that like yin yang? That's so great. I love that. That's so great. And those are cool icons too. That's cool. That's actually, those are very clear. I totally dig that. So here, let's just divinely inspire this. Actually, let's just divinely inspire this. We need to know what house we need to look into here. Let's pick 2. Let's pick 2 houses. Okay. All right. What 2 houses should we pick to look at for further guidance for Kitten related to the small cards? And we're going to be using the 5 of Pentacles as a significator, right? So just someone throw out a random number between 1 and 12. Have the people who've been in the room here or been in my streams here for a while, have you started to become fluent in Brianna? She has a very interesting language. 8. Okay, 8. That's a random number. Need one more random number that's not 8 between 1 and 12, because we have 8 chosen, so we're going to look at that. let's look at between 1 and 12. Okay? That's not an 8. Just one more number, anyone random. Just throw out a number, and we'll go from there. It's 333. And 5. 8 and 5. Okay, great. Oh, cool. Fibonacci. 8 and 5. So first, let's look at 8. That came up first, and then we'll look at 5. Okay. The 8 section is going to be up in this area, right? It's going to be... Let's let that catch up. Okay. Right here, right? And 5 is going to be reversed. There's basically a 90-degree angle, right? They're 90 degrees from each other, just to be clear. There's the 5. There's the 8. And so that is not exactly a 90, is that? It is, yes. So that's a 90 degrees, right? Okay. And that 5 should be pointing at the 11 there, roughly. There you go. Okay, great. So, sexuality and root. This is kind of like the wand, but on an interpersonal level. It's not just your root chakra. It's more about the how you express your gender and polarity with respect to getting what you want. That's what the will is to begin with, right? So that's kind of the idea here. Two swords, a feminine and masculine sword. Both. There's a lot of ideas running around the heart. The heart is going crazy. That's another sword. I just want to be clear here so you guys know. These are larger swords. These here. This is a pentacle, but this little bead that was also there. This is cool. This, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it with a chopstick. But I'm going to try anyway because, you know, I'm a sadist. So, here we go. I'm not a sadist. There's nothing fun about that. All right. This little bead, it has the swirlies on it, and those are the air beads. And so this represents a sword. And it was stuck on top of the masculine sword, right? It was just sort of like there, like an ice cream cone, right? Which is very interesting. And those were in the same section along with one pentacle. So what we have is 3 swords toward this one creation in this center here. So 3 swords in the sexual center. That means that you're talking about 3 minds. Lots of different lots of thoughts rushing, either conflicting or complementary, but it's sort of like a stream of consciousness kind of idea. But there's one pentacle, meaning that the thought is singular, but there's multiple versions of it. Okay, that's more accurate in the 8. Otherwise, what else is going on? I'm going to go from the center here. There's a ton of pentacles, so there is stuff like wanting to make something physical. Wanting to make something physical, and there is it's all a mental activity. So that means it's not something you have, it's something you want. It's in your mind. Okay. So what that means though is that you have a root chakra that is like lit up but is not being utilized, and so that can potentially cause some excessive energy that can lead to I don't want to say unhealthy behavior, because that's not true, but it could potentially lead to behavior that is designed to cope and is not necessarily healthy in the long run. And just be aware of that. That doesn't mean that's what's going to happen. It lends to that possibility. We were looking at 5. Cup, 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 cup. Wand, wand. I mean... Right? Yeah, it sounds like, You don't need to be a tarot reader to know what's going on in Kitty's mind right now. And she ain't thinking with that head. Cool. Okay then. Well, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say maybe you should go ahead and light a candle, draw a bath, and love yourself. It's okay. Don't let that shit build. True story. You need to let that go, right? There's no shame in that. It's okay. It's okay. But all kidding aside, I'm not kidding, right? that's what's coming up here under. If you consider 5 and 8 and how those, and with this, there's some stuff going on in your life with respect to these connections and this energy and kind of where you are in it. There seems to be this confusion or an unwillingness to outwardly speak it. Well, I want to do one more thing too, just to top it off, okay? So I'm going to call it done with one more exception. Yeah, joint finances, taxes, that's accurate, sure. Contracts. Yeah, contracts are fine. Any interaction we ever have in the history of ever is a contract. I will if you. It could be as simple as I will look if you I will listen if you speak. I will look if you cast, right? It's like that's the minimum contract of there being an attention taking place, of there being a willful knowing of another, right? But what I'd like to do is to throw in a significator, stir it up, and see if it has a final message for us, right? And so I'm going to use the significator of the masculine and just toss him in there, and then we're going to stir it up, see where he lands, see what house he lands in, read that house, and then we're going to have some truth here, okay? Pointing right into number 1. Water, water, lots of water. And now, everything that we're talking about, keep in mind, is under the influence of, is related to, is pertaining to the 5 of Pentacles, which is the idea of needing help, providing assistance, not abusing that help, showing up if you're going to provide it, that kind of idea, right? And there being no shame in the fact, like sometimes you're just, it's not your fault. You become crippled, you become injured, you become needy in some fashion, and it's not an indication of a quality of who you are as an individual or otherwise. It's just the reality of the situation, right? Pentacles all over the place, a bunch of water, one voice. And specifically the thing it's literally touching. The arrow is literally touching a water that is a masculine, that is a feminine water. It's touching one of the feminine waters, and it's touching a greenish water. This greenish water references the idea of natural. So it's not the ocean. It's not a crystal blue. This is a like you come across a lake. In the woods, or like a like a swampy kind of natural area. It's not the kind of water that's like pristine. There's some life to it. There's moss in it. There's there's living things. So this is pointing at, in the first house, the identity of there being this kind of like aliveness in your water center, in your heart. Your heart is beginning to become an ecosystem of its own, right? Like there's stuff going on there. And there's also these very, very close to this sword. These are touching, right? And so this is the idea of speaking that. So as you begin to feel this energy increase and that aliveness in the heart becomes more raw, more wild. That's the word. It took me a minute. You're going to want to speak that, and you're going to want that to be known. That's the word. You're going to want that to be known. All right, and there's the idea here is of a an emotional state where it may seem a little odd at first, but then you realize, no, this is rightness. It's different. It's not odd. It's different. But however, it's right. And it's it's karmic all over the place, and so it's good stuff, man. It's just good stuff. Right. And so that's where I'm at. That's what I'm saying. Okay. So let me pause. What do you think? Okay, I have to read Brianna. Hang on. Yeah, Bree, you seem to have a connection with astrology. Are you a right? Spicy is a good word. Do you study astrology, or is it just something that you kind of like grab from ether, since you're like plugged in? Spicy is not the word. Mm-hmm. This is like win the chili contest 3 years in a row, Spicy. This is like ghost peppers. Hold my beer. Good stuff. The problem is that it's all in your head. Sucks. But there's an opportunity here to make it manifest. That's the point. It can move out of your head and into reality. It's up to you to make it happen. All you have to do is speak it, and it will. That's how this works. You just got to speak it the right way. You can't just talk through your throat and vibrate and, like words out into the world, and it happened, thank God. But yeah. Okay. I got to rethink this lid. This isn't ideal to begin with. It's really good for kids, but I would really, I'm trying to debate the form factor. I've made these again over and over again over the years, but usually I wind up with something that's annoying, like a glass dish that's clear that I stick two of them and kind of move the beads around that way. But that doesn't work. It slips, and and so this is great that it's self-contained, but the top is a little hard. I don't know. It's not quite 100% it. I have to figure out what to use. And it would be nice if it was glass, so it had a nice sound. That I'd like a lot. That would be really fun. So this is going to live in there, right? Okay, so you stay there. Okay. I'll leave these out because we may wind up using them later. So let me just put this here. Okay, so that said, fun, right? I don't know how to do that. Do what? What are we doing? Hang on. I whispered a message. Are you ready? I'm going to be going to my break here in a sec, and so I'm going to put the listening stone that is now going to be in a state of speaking on the microphone. You're not going to hear it in your ears, but I whispered a message. Okay, and so just if you can hear this, try to quiet your mind, open your heart, and you'll hear it. That little tingle, that's him. Okay. I'll be back in a couple minutes. Alrighty, so what'd you hear? Is Missy still in the room? I want to show you something. If you're still here, let me know. If you're not, then you're missing out. That was cruel. I found another box of goodies, and I can't wait to show everybody. This one's different than the other ones. The tingles, and I think I need a cigarette. Oh, wow. Cool. So did you draw the bath? I mean, feel free to sign off. I'm not going to be upset if you disappear for a while. Have fun. Look at all that purple. A big old bag of buttons. I love bags of buttons. Who's with me? Who loves bags of buttons? I said me. I'm sorry to hear that. Oh, so you do study it, yeah. Well, that's it. It's kind of instilled is a great word, isn't it? It's a natural language, you know, and the closer you are to connection with the divine self, the closer you are to just speaking that language naturally, right? It's born in us. We're meant to speak it. I need a pair of glasses. I have no idea what I'm looking at. Let's take a look at what this is. It looks like it might be interesting. Well, isn't that the case, Brianna? It's a state of remembering. That is impressive. Okay, let me just show you what this is. That's an actual dried flower in the center there. It's a real dried flower. Wow. That's kind of great. Well, you know what just happened, right? I just created beauty. This was just a thing a moment ago, and then I realized what it was, and I was kind of filled up by that truth. That there's actually a living thing in there. Well, it used to be alive. And now it's alive again with a new identity, and that name is beauty. How awesome. Some wood blue beads. That might be fun for a masculine version of some water beads for another oracle, right? Those are great for water beads. For a masculine, right? Sure. It's got a good vibe. I like that color. I'm keeping these out. Yep. It's going to be used for that. Look at these. These are great masculine wands. Oh my gosh. These are straight up plastic, but they have an interesting feeling. Oh, I love wood beads. Oh, that's a lot of wood beads. Yeah, look at that. That's one pendant. Yep, that's a pendant. And it's got an interesting loop and button on the end. I may have to just keep this in one piece. Let's see what this looks like. How big is it? And what can we hang off of it? How many are on there? Let's see. 1, 2, 4. 4. It's not too tight, which is nice. It's got a decent length, although I'm a smaller person, so I don't know if that's accurate. But what can hang off of there? It'd have to be something big. I don't know if I have any pendants that are relevant right now. Oh, these are real. It's a real string. This thing weighs a lot. This is a heavy hunk of pearls. Let me adorn our goddess. Gold beads, neat, cool. A lot of different things here. Some rings, some chains, some spacers. I may actually do something with that because that stone popped out. I might stick a gold bead in there. Let's see if it fits. That'll be interesting. In the meantime, Tanamera has something to say to us. And I'm warning you, she's a witch, and her magic is powerful, and if I were you, I'd listen to her. Ball's a little big. I don't think that's going to fit in there. That would be the smallest size I think I have as far as metal beads go. You know what might fit in there actually? Let's have fun. Why not? You know, I have my little my stress beads in here. What if this is just basically beads that are nothing more than for me to just do this with, right? There might be a small one in there that we can use. So let's see. So there's some really small chips in here. So let's take a look. By the way, are you able to hear me? With the mic up here. There's some interesting colors in here. Looks like there's a little yellow bead right there that might fit. I might get that to fit if I widen it. Maybe. There's a little quartz chip. That might be kind of down and dirty looking. Oh, she's throwing sharks, people. I warned you. Okay. Oh, ooh, ooh. I guess these are the smallest. Unless I break one to try to get a small chip off of like one of these. But I don't know if I want to like injure a crystal just to, you know, satisfy our curiosity, and so I won't do that. So instead what I'm going to do is try to open that up a little bit, and I'm going to put this, I have it's like a yellowish golden rod kind of bead. I may wind up hanging a piece of jewelry off of this, like a ring, you know, and just let the ring dangle. Fits nicely. Okay, let's turn it so the holes are to the side, not up and down, so it becomes like a golden eye looking at you. Never happened. That's nice because I like the color yellow. It, you know, obviously is a significant color with respect to communication and sword, and so you know it's a nice color for that. That was fun. Every goddess needs pearls. Let's pull some trinkets. The megalodons are coming. Should I run? Sounds messy. Okay. These I gotta remember to put aside because... Oh, you used yellow also? Cool, yeah. Yep. I plan on, if I do a primary one, I plan on doing that. Like, you know, just all the same color or all the same size and shape but different colors. I'm probably just going to use like yellow or goldenrod for the sword. Like, give it a little warmth. But I got to remember these for water. That's great. And I have enough of them to make it a nice pattern. How many here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Because if you'll notice in the baby version, the manifestation, it has a each element is a slightly different version. They're not all the same water. Each one is a slightly different version of water because that's reality. In the higher world, they're all identical, but in the lower world, they're not. So I need to keep this handy because I'm going to use this for the male version of the next oracle I put together for the water beads. No, it seems to have that vibe for it anyway, so no, you can ride them with me. I don't know, what can we put on there that's begging for something? It's a mask in search of a face. It's listening. I have to think about that one. I don't have enough beads to make a bracelet with my own stuff. Right? I don't have enough to complete it and actually make a piece of jewelry using the stones. That'd be nice. But yeah. All right. So then that said, then I'll just put this aside, and then we'll let's pick some trinkets and see if we can find any hidden wisdom. By the way, have you guys seen this? Anybody want to teach their kids how to be psychic? There it is. call me. I'll teach you how to use it. There's a ton of techniques. They're all great. This is very rugged. They can shake it, throw it, drop it. It'll be just fine. Do you? Yeah. I have a goddess piece I haven't revealed here on the channel yet. It's the most beautiful goddess piece of jewelry you've ever seen in your life. It's an amulet. It's made out of moss agate. And it's this big. It's a legitimate, genuine moss agate the size of your face. And it's just this ridiculous, ornate, just crazy. I'm going to be showing it at some point. Because it's the most impressive cabochon I've ever laid eyes on. I cannot tell you. You're just like knocked out by it. And it's divine goddess all over the place. It's at these deep, rich greens and these like dark green blacks. It just reminds you of nature and life, and it's really, really special. Oh, very cool. Yeah, those don't hurt. So let's pull 3 random and see what we can see. Let's give it a stir. There's that fan rose. It's a little hard to open sometimes. On one side there's a bonsai, on the other side there is a dragon. It's a beautiful image. And you know, this has a lot of symbolism, and I can't wait for it to come up in a reading. There's an arrow. That's funny. This is a wooden ring, which is very much in the style of the necklace I just took off, which is kind of neat. Let's see. It's a ring made out of wood. It's a wooden ring. Interesting. So here's the 3 things. Let me put this back. So this arrow is very cool. It's it's hard for me to see this nowadays and not immediately go to the Lover's card with Cupid on the top, Eros, aiming at the work, right? And there's that idea, right? And so that's the first place that I go with that. But the word. There's a few ways that we can use. It refers to the object of desire, right? And so all Cupid does is remind you of the thing that you want. He doesn't make you want it. He reminds you that you want it. He points it out, and then you go, oh yeah, right? And so there's a few ways that you can look at this. We can look at it as, for instance, the target of your desire. We can look at it as the remember. We can look at it as inspiration, right? Being inspired. Love that. Lilith vibes, sure. I love that one. You should use it as part of your display, like a feminine overseeing spirit. Which one? The fan? That's not a bad idea. Because it's kind of the idea of that, like, you know, the aha moment, that inspiration, that you know. Matchmaker. Okay, so matchmaker. This one is matchmaker, matchmaker, make me a match. Find me a find, catch me a catch. So what we have here is friendship. Friendship. Universal brotherhood. The reality that if we all knew what we all were, we would be in love with everyone. Okay. Very special. Let me pop up an image here that will further illustrate this. All right. Where was that? I remember where it is. Okay, where am I right now? I know where I am. Okay, good. Let me find it. We're having to go to... I gotta try to remember where I put it. Hang on a second. Sorry, I have to shut this off. Oh, I just remembered. Okay, good. Nobody's going anywhere. Nobody's coming from anywhere. We're all here. We're all here in eternal time and space. We're always going to be here. We're just doing Lila Rasa. The divine dance. We're dancing. And dancing. And dancing. After dance, in one body, in another body, and we're all here. We're all staying right here. All right, so there it is. So I'm going to call this the dance. And now what we have here, so what do we have here? The matchmaker, the dance, and wooden ring. There's 18 of them on there. I don't know if that matters. I mean, it's the circle, right? The circle of life, the circle of union, the passage of time. Mathematically, it's similar to the wheel of the year, the decadent, the 36. It's half of 36. It's like half the decadent. There's also the idea that it's a manufactured wheel, right? It's not just a wheel of time, it's manufactured. It's like each individual bead was picked by somebody and put on here specifically. So it's the idea of time passing through the the execution of the will. It's about agency. It's about having... so it's like it's your will being done. It's the idea of the work being completed. It's the idea of crafting. So what we have here is matchmaker, but that's not. It is, but it isn't. It's kind of like the inspirer of love, like the mat. You know. I guess we'll use that. Let's call it matchmaker. We'll call it Yenta. It's a Yenta. But so, okay, so the matchmaker, the dance, and craft. The craft of the matchmaker is the the matchmaker's craft is the matchmaker doesn't make connections. The matchmaker is a choreographer for the dance. No, the matchmaker doesn't make matches. They craft the steps to the dance. They I'm not sure about that one. Ritual circle. There's a couple circles came up here. We have the circle of the dance, and we have the circle of the the craft, the making, the doing, the having, the being, but the crafting. But basically what we have here is the divine inspiration, and the thing being crafted is the choreography, the steps to be taken, right? So this is inspiring the steps to be taken in that. This is the product, but the product is designed to elicit the dance. And so this is almost like what this is interesting. What this is the idea of the crafting of an item that will facilitate the dance. Yep. A divine inspiration of crafting an item that will inspire the dance. We got there. It took me a minute. Now, let's get a little bit more info on that. Need a bigger box. Okay. Oh, we got this yesterday. Remember this thing? It has all kinds of symmetries from above, raining down divine heart in different versions. And ultimately what we're looking at here is the unification of those two hearts into one singular mind that crafts this thing, right? It's actually funny, this is telling that whole exact same story, right? There's the divine mind, there's the thing that's crafted, and that divine mind is being fed by multiple hearts. Two hearts one voice, one mind, one creation. Do you see how that goes? These are two hearts. This is one voice, one heart, or one will, basically. And then we have the thing they're creating. And so this is very beautiful. It's a nice little connection here. Because the idea is this idea of, and I started it talking about this today as far as healing the world. And the way that we do that is we recognize the other and we engage them, we embody them. And when we do that and we're able to heal during that embodiment, the people we embody also heal. They become closer to their truth, and it allows for there to be real transformation. Real. And so this is actually interesting, because what this is a holographic icon of the whole story that we told here, right? Love that. Two hearts, one mind, one body, one spirit. Good stuff. Divine love. Divine love. Does that make sense? Does anyone have any other? The circle, ritual circle, I love that, yeah. There's a few circles in here that would be relevant to that, for sure. Are you serious? I love that. What did Orion say to Canis Major? Are you really going to tell this joke again? Yep, I'm going to tell it until I get it right. Mem. Love that. Pardon? All right, so that said, you know, it comes down to being open to any way that we can hear this story, but ultimately, whenever we have an opportunity to build that vocabulary, the better, because it gives us access to all these different systems. Like, for instance, I was having a conversation today with somebody related to Wicca, and you know, kind of the difference between the high magic and the low magic system. And you know, I had mentioned low magic is very powerful, and it's because it accesses these archetypes at a basic level, right? You don't need a protractor and a calculator to respect and to invoke goddess, and to recognize the work, and to empower the god to make change. It's really, really a very basic idea, because it's a rather than it being this divinely inspired high magic working of getting down to the granular level of every DNA molecule of a spirit, it's really just understanding the source of those spirits is the interplay of the male and the female at some gradient, and that's what we're activating. And so it works very well with that respect. Are you serious? It works very well from that respect. And the way that we go about making that change is in this recognition, this idea of who are we really. And when we recognize that truth, it gives us all kinds of access. It lets us to respect the people that hurt us and to heal from the pain that they've kind of instilled in our hearts and that we've identified with. Or it puts us in the position of having the opportunity to actually transform, to become something new, to heal the suffering of others, to alleviate physical pain, to be confident that your decisions are coming from the right place, to know love when it enters your space and to not miss it. That's a biggie. Don't miss it. That's why we're here. I don't think there's any greater knowing than the other. It's everything. It's a little joke for the Rosicrucians in the room. Because it gives us the ability to recognize that other in every particle in the universe. We can decide to identify with a single particle. We can choose to identify with a planet, with a galaxy, with an entire cluster. How about it gives us the ability to know and embody ourselves. You've never done that before. A lot of people haven't. Will spend their whole lives having no idea that they've never actually embodied themselves. They're embodying the world in the form of, I guess, this form that we walk around in, thinking we're separate from the flowers that we look at. The flowers are chuckling at us. Oh, look how cute. That person looking at me thinks that it's separate from me. It's like your finger going, hey, Michael, how are you today? Fine, you are me. You're my finger, dude. So, yeah. Isn't that silly? It seems silly to me. I think I pretty much covered everything I was going to cover tonight, right? Did I miss anything? I don't think so. I didn't take any notes, unfortunately. It was a busy day, and so I didn't have a chance to really get down and dirty with planning. We told this story, okay. I talked about transformation. And, it's that same idea, too, as far as the embodying somebody and then placing it in something else and then swapping is a very powerful technique for transformation. Because it allows you to it forces you to recognize pieces of yourselves. You can't embody something until you know it fully, right? And so you have to go through the work of determining what those pieces are in yourself that you want to get rid of. It's kind of like the work of the hermit, right? We have to willingly walk into the darkness because it's in there that we're able to see our light. It doesn't get drowned out by the world anymore. And that's what we're trying to do here. Uncover the truth at all costs and share it with everybody we can for as long as we can. Right? That's what I'm here to do. And how are we going to do that? We're going to put beads together and we're going to take out pieces of cardboard and draw pictures on it and talk to people about our cardboard. We're going to try to be as enthusiastic as we can when we see good results and that things work so that other people can maybe be tricked into believing that they can do it too. That it's not just reserved for some ancient sages with long beards and robes and dark alleys and in little grottos. This is available to everyone and everything. You are it. It's not available to you. You can't have it. You are it. You are not alive. You are life. You are the life. Your body is alive. You are the life. You are my life. You are the life of the plants and the animals. You are the life that animates the clouds and gives it the willingness to change shape just to play with you. That's what we are. The moon is beautiful. She's going through her waxing right now. And she passed that middle and it's starting to, get to that point where it's going to be full soon. That brightness, that's you. Go through this exercise. It's a very interesting magical exercise. Go outside on a dark night that's clear, with a decent enough moon that's past half, and we're there now. We're past half. Look up at it, and feel the moonlight on your face. It's a different sensation than sunlight. And most people don't ever pay attention to that, what the moonlight feels like. Of course there's heat. But it's subtle. It's quiet. And it forces you to tune. It forces you to listen really, really, really closely. What are you listening with? The absolute extreme edge of sensation on your skin. You're not going any deeper than that. Moonlight doesn't penetrate. It bounces right off. So you got to feel it right on the surface. Okay? Sunlight penetrates and then comes back through the skin, so it gives you a glow. Moonlight doesn't do that. It just bounces right off. So all you see is the surface. That's why it's hidden. That's why it talks about occult. That's why the moon is a secret. Because all it shows is the surface, and everything underneath, you have no idea what's there. The sun reveals everything. The moon reveals nothing but the truth. But you have to have the eyes to see and the ears to hear. And what are the eyes to see? The heart. What are the ears to hear? The heart. So, I'm actually having trouble holding my eyes open right now. Like it's an effort to blink, and so I'm going to take advantage of that, and hope to lose consciousness after I stop the stream. So, that said, this was fun. Every time I get to play with this and do a real world example, it's kind of fun, and to show the different ways it can be read, because it's actually much bigger than you think. You know, we haven't even talked about manifestation yet, right? Or how to use it for magic. We haven't really talked about meditating upon it. That's my most fun thing to do. My most fun thing to do with this is to read it like I'm reading a fictional story. Just put the beads in the middle. I put both in there. Let's just go through the exercise, since I'm going to be doing it before I go to bed tonight. Let's combine these two, right? This is the babies, small cards, and the majors. It's a very different environment. We looked at them both separate. We did a reading with them both separate. Now let's look at them all together, so we can see the full myriad, right? So what we're going to do here first is we're going to take our signs and planets. Let's put the sun in the middle. One of them is an actual planet floating in space, and one of them is the divine, masculine, creative energy, right? The sun. Osiris. Horus. Osiris is the sun. S-U-N, in the form of Sirius. Horus is the sun. S-O-N, and is Helios, the sun that touches us. Why? Well, because we are him. We are Horus. We are the product of the dance of Isis and Osiris. We are the product of the dance. We are the dream of Vishnu. So let's get the small cards in there. Now, let's just look at it and again, admire the difference here. Let's just admire the difference. Right now, we're just going to take in what we're looking at is the solar system in its current state without there being anything added to it, right? So there's no people yet. Right? This is the phase that the moon's in right now where I live. This is roughly what I'm seeing is like right kind of about that. Right? That shook stuff up. All of a sudden, there's like a universe. All of a sudden, there's... Oh, look at that peace sign fell right into the sun. Like it belongs there. Isn't that neat? Let's make that happen. Cool. Let's do this to end the evening. Let's do some manifestation. I'm going to put Jupiter in Keter. And I'm going to take Venus and rest it on the sun. So we have the sun and Venus and Jupiter in spirit. Isn't that lovely? Where's Gemini? There it is. We'll put that right on top of Venus. So we have the two lines into one Venus on top of the sun. And we have Jupiter connecting it to divine. Beautiful. Now, the meditative process in this is to basically just don't ask questions. Don't read into it. You're not speaking, you're listening. And so it's just going through and looking at the planets and the signs. And, you know, if you've made your own, you know every bead and what planet it is. You know every bead and what sign it is. And so it speaks to you easily. You know that this is a pentacle, right? This is water and so forth. And you can easily, this is a sword. It's quite an experience. Okay. Where's my Leo? And so it's this is the look with them combined. This is the universe that you and I actually live in now, because here we are making our change, kicking up the dust, right, and creating all this possibility. And this is a manifestation of that. Okay, we can put the sun and moon on top if you want. Like, you can play with it since it's not divinatory. Just put them where you want. You know, we can have the larger planets out in the distance where they belong. There's my Pluto. I'm going to put Venus up kind of near there. Where's my little Mars? There's Venus and Mars together by the sun. We have our moon up here. We have the sun up here. We put Saturn with the outer planets. And that's the gist. You basically, you look at the connections. You kind of, if you want to, you can, you know, overlay the a chart, overlay the deacon system, and kind of get a vibe of what planets are landing and what signs. That's a lot of fun. I love that reading. That's a lot of fun. Maybe we'll do that tomorrow. We'll do a deacon reading using this as opposed to an astrological house reading. It's a lot of fun. It engages the small cards too, which is nice. So, all right. Listen, thank you so much to everybody who joined me tonight. I know it was a slightly different speed, but I think I needed a little bit of a mental break, and so I appreciate everybody who stuck with me through that, right? And if you have any other ideas, questions, feedback on the oracle, or how you think it might be read, and some fun ways to do that, I'd love to talk. Call me at this number. Email me, text, WhatsApp. I'm on Discord. I spoke to somebody on Discord today. That's right, people. But that said, so I'm on Discord. I think I'm under Metaphysics. Very similar to the YouTube. YouTube gave me a unique URL for my channel, and Metaphysics, the way I spell it, was taken. So whoever you are that has that, that's cool. I get it. I'll admit I'm upset. But what I did do is I just put 101 after it. So the name of the URL, which I don't know how it works because I looked it up and I don't know how that works. It's like a hashtag. It's kind of like I don't know, a handle. Like I'm not really sure how to use it yet. But it's Metaphysics 101. METAFIZIX 101. Metaphysics 101. No spaces, no hyphens, no underscores. And that should theoretically get people to the channel. So I don't know. Once I figure out how it works, I'll put it out and then beg everybody to give it to everyone. So we'll see. That's a lot of fun. Hopefully generate more interest and, watch this thing grow. Otherwise, thank you so much. I really appreciate it to everybody who pops in here and listens to me every night and engages in the chat. And, we all get to benefit from that. I wind up reading the chats at length after the fact. It just takes me a little bit of time for it to come into the the finished product, and then we can I actually have a chance to read it and see all the stuff that I missed. You need the number and numbers after it too, I think. Okay, so yeah, would it be hashtag metaphysics101? But I'm not sure how to use it. I don't know. Again, I'll look it up. It wasn't important enough for me to spend time digging. I just started getting used to the community tab, which I plan on playing with a little bit more this week. The weekends are a little hard, and then the beginning of this week got just weird. I got busy, good busy, on top of my client stuff and on top of personal things that I'm doing as far as my work. And so I haven't had a chance to play too much with the community tab moving forward, but I plan on doing that. That's only to add a friend, though, not for a channel. Okay. We have to chat, because I'm not exactly sure what that means. And something tells me that you're going to be able to put it in a way that I'll understand. So I might bug you tomorrow if you're around. Okay, so thank you so much to everybody, though, really. And, you know, the best way to let it in is to just let go of everything, and then it finds its way in, because there's nothing stopping it. It's that easy. Just remember. Just forget. Just ignore everything I've said. None of this has ever happened. It's never going to happen. Nothing will ever change. So let go of expectation. Seriously. No, really, let go of it. Why are you still holding it? I love you. 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 I am nothing without you. And I am everything. So you know what that means. If it happened, it was because of you. Own it.